This is Paul. Yeah. I was I was looking in here at the 14th Amendment. Yeah. 14th Amendment. Representatives, so on and so forth. Participants, so on and so forth. Okay. So validity of public debt, so on and so forth. Yeah. And citizen rights not to be abridged. Yes, yes, yes. They have what's called ratification of the new amendments. Yes. Before there's a promulgation of the ratification of the new amendments. Yeah. I was looking in this law dictionary. Yeah. And this dictionary, New in the Law, they didn't actually have a definition of promulgation. Now, I had done some study on this about 18 months ago while I was emailing those that are elected or appointed oaths of office. Yes. When I was emailing those that are sheriffs and police officers about my right to due process being violated. Yeah. It turns out that when they pass a law, when they actually ratify a law, yeah, they promulgate it. They tell everybody that there's a new amendment to the Constitution. Now, let's say you decided you're not going to enforce the Constitution of the United States. You're just not going to do it. And then they have one of these in here about have a right to counsel, and that, hang on just for a second, I know it's here, right to a speedy trial. You cannot be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process. Right. And you should have a compulsory process for obtaining witnesses in my favor. Right. Have assistance of counsel for his defense. That's correct. And inform the nature and cause of the accusation. You don't get a public defender's card unless you get arrested. And when I got arrested, I informed my public defender that I wanted him to motion the court and I wanted him to remove the protection order because it violates my constitutional right to due process. Now, I know Bruce Hannafy, he must have got caught up in other things during that last year, but it seemed like public defenders were really not spending the money on those that are accused of crimes. So I just wanted to go through all the public defenders everywhere. See if they've been drinking any blood, pooch, bunch of vampires. All of those that receive any taxpayer funds to defend the indigents, those that are paupers, those that can't afford their own counsel. Now, it would have been a lot easier over the last, 18 months. What is it, July, and I was arrested on January 4th? Yeah, that's 19 months. It would have been a lot easier if at that first meeting last year in February of 2016, if my public defender had just motioned the court to have the protection order removed because I wasn't given actual notice and opportunity to be heard. The petitioner didn't sign it. It violates the Violence Against Women's Act. In fact, it violates the promulgation of the amendment of Amendment 14. When you violate the ratification process of the amendments that were passed after the original Bill of Rights. Yes! There was a process of promulgation when a new amendment was passed. Every person that involved, every citizen, yes, was informed that a new amendment had been passed so that it would become a part of society. Yep, that's what happened. Yep. Now, I know you don't want to hear me suing you for violating the ratification and promulgation process of every amendment. But there's a real lawsuit there. Now, for the last, 19 months, we've been going back and forth about whose responsibility was it to motion the court. It wasn't mine because I didn't have jurisdiction. It was the public defender's office because their job was to give me the counsel, the defense that would have allowed me to not be encumbered with a protection order that can still be used to arrest me. Now, I'm going to need to know all the prosecuting attorneys again, all those dog-fish vampires that have been drinking blood, okay? And every one of them that got any tax dollars that just would not do what the law says. I'm going to be suing them for violating the ratification and promulgation process of Amendment number 14. Now, it's one thing to violate an amendment. It's another thing to violate the process of passing amendments. I'm going to have to sue them all because they could all motion the court. Every public defender and every prosecuting attorney could have motioned the court.